Mr. Investalot, Nano Dimensions is a buy. Hopefully this will be one of the best videos you ever watch on Nano Dimensions. So I think this stock is set to triple. Strategically, they are ready to monopolize the 3D electric printing niche. Today we're going to be talking about their CEO, what he's been doing, talking to all the competitors, and no, he's not a snitch. This man is moving like a boss. So I hope you find this video very useful. I'm going to be telling you today about why I think Nano Dimensions acquiring the competition could mean they become a monster within their niche. I'm going to tell you why it's advantageous. And this guy right here has said he's going to sell so many machines. I'm going to show you exactly the clip. We're going to talk about monopolies in different industries. We're also going to be talking about Nano Dimensions' latest tweets, exactly what materials they can make, and how January can potentially affect their future income. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Miguel. I'm a retail investor here in London. I look for 20x, 30x, 50x growth stocks, and I think I found one right here with Nano Dimensions. I hope that this is the best video you're going to watch on Nano Dimensions, and I hope you find a lot of value and entertainment in this video. If you'd like to support me, you can drop a donation with the link in the description box, PayPal link. But if you're unable to donate, I completely understand. Just you clicking like and subscribe is enough donation for me. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go straight into this. Okay, baby. I'm in between these two people here. On my left, I have a lady, a host, shooting questions at Yoav. And Yoav has said some very interesting things. This man has said how they plan to sell hundreds of thousands of machines. Yes, he just said that. So initially he was saying, you know, the machine's good for prototyping in that market. But the big plan is to do production in the new electronic revolution. So let's take a listen. Okay, so this lady asked a question about the future. She said, what does the future hold for Nano Dimensions? And this is Yoav's reply.
The growth of our company comes from these machines moving from being prototyping of PCBs to production of PCBs. And the minute you get into production of PCBs, it will enable a very strong trend that exists today of reshoring this PCB industry back to the continents. We're speaking about hundreds of thousands of machines.
There you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth himself. He said hundreds of thousands of machines is what he plans to sell. So there's a new electronic revolution. So guys, we can see this wave happening all across the world. But here we'll look at this article first. We can see the wave happening and the money is going into electrical infrastructure. So this is $1.5 billion that is going to boost electric and hydrogen vehicles, right? This is a pivotal moment for clean energy. Everything futuristic is electric. We are talking about 5G, we're talking about smartphones, we're talking about autonomous vehicles and drones. And if we go back to the clip and read, he is aiming to empower and save companies time and money. So if we look at the second point here, we can see that electromechanical sub-assemblies are integral enablers of autonomous intelligent drones, cars, satellites, smartphones, and Vivo medical devices. Literally, with all the investment going into electrical infrastructure as well, innovation and the future, it's all just one big race. Who can produce and deliver? And Nano Dimensions is helping them win first place. Okay guys, and listen to what Yoav has to say as well. He's basically saying that Nano Dimensions is building an industry.
The vision here is that you are building an industry, as the gentleman before me mentioned, Industry 4.0.
Okay, so the next clip I'm going to show you is the CEO talking about monopolizing and improving products, but also gearing up for mass scale production and demand. So this video is long, it's like 18 minutes long, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the exact clips. So I'll show you exactly what you need to see within this video. Okay, so we're going to talk about their industry, how big it can potentially be, and they're also going to talk about how they've raised loads of capital.
The PCB industry is a $70 billion industry, mostly moved to China and the Far East. And the United States and Europe lost it because it was so heavy in labor and in capital intensiveness. We're changing that. The machine can bring this industry.
All right, guys, let's hear him talk about how much money they have and what they're using it for.
You raised more than $300 million in recent weeks. You have a cash balance now around $400 million. How do you deploy that capital?
Okay, we have a very, very clear direction and plan, which obviously changed and developed over the last 2 months during the corona, as we realized that the market is actually supporting us so strongly. So now, with the amount of money you have mentioned, we intend to do really two things. We intend to use part of it for acquisitions of companies that are synergistic with our technology and with our markets.
Wow, so Yoav was talking not only about acquisitions, but talking about creating this industry where they're not only just doing, prototyping, but they're going to move over to actually generally creating mass production. And he's looking for companies that are synergistic with his company.
And the inflection point is when our machines, which are now in development, are getting into production, not only prototyping. The minute our machines start to produce larger volumes of high-performance electronic device, HiPads, we will be in a position where the desktop publishing was 20 years ago. We're changing the industry, being able to reshore it back to the United States and Europe, where $70 billion of it, or 65, is in the Far East. The second half is we are accelerating our product development. We decided that rather than investing and over-investing in marketing and sales right now, when the market is really not there and the corona is keeping our customers at home, and this is not software business, they can't work from home if they're working in a laboratory. And so any money we spend on that will be wasted until corona subsides. So we estimate the corona will subside in 2-3 quarters.
He also said he's got enough cash to last him for the next 5 to 10 years, so we don't need to worry.
So in this time, we are investing the rest of the money, and we're not going to finish it. We have enough for the next 5 to 10 years, but we are going to accelerate dramatically the product development. We will get to the inflection point, which takes valuation of the company and revenue 10 times.
I put a video out about a potential acquisition a while back when they were raising money. So if you want to watch that, 17,000 of you already watched it, so you can click up here. Somebody criticized me, but I showed all the potential uses for 3D printing for the Department of Defense. Potentially this technology, what they're creating here, Tesla, NIO could use this for the autonomous vehicle industry. For autonomous drones, we could be talking about Amazon using this technology. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about materials and how I found out that they can actually print materials and why January is going to be such a big month for them. But before we go into that video, I want to show you that he has said that there's no competition for them, and whoever's getting close to them, they're going to acquire.
Obviously, we don't have competition yet, but we have what could be competition. So we intend to defend ourselves that way and improve our product by buying these companies. I've spoken with 35, 40 out of 65 companies I looked at over the last 4 months. So that will be a use of proceeds of about half of that money over time, obviously in the right price.
Let's check this out right here.
We have, I believe, about 2 years, a year and a half to 2.5 years of runway, but I don't like businesses that don't have competition. So to say no competition, yes, if there's a $70 billion market, of course there's a competition, but the competition is the old market, the old way of doing things. And the other competition that will use technologies similar to ours, I believe, is about 2 years away.
So next I wanted to show you also about how they can do product and blueprint protection. And this is so vital for some companies, especially military and defense. Lots of the 3D printing of electronic circuit boards is in the Far East, right? And because of some companies, some government agencies in America and across the world, they cannot share these blueprints with the Far East.
One of the reasons many of our customers, definitely the defense industry, but including, by the way, aviation and, surprisingly enough, medical, are interested and excited to buy machines. We already sold 60 machines around the world in 4 continents, is that they are very leery about the ability to maintain the IP if they sent design to the Far East. And actually, the defense industry, by government instructions, some of them are not allowed to send it to the Far East. So by using our machine, they keep all the IP at home. They don't have to send it anywhere.
So next, Yoav wanted to talk directly to Nano Dimension investors. He wanted to tell you how it's such a strong company and how it has a strong balance sheet.
What would you say today is the essential value proposition for investors?
You are investing in a company that has a very, very strong balance sheet with basically minimal to no risk of not being able to fulfill the plan.
Did you see that? Minimal to no risk. That's his words.
You're no risk on the downside. $420 million in cash is, we need less than that, and we have sparing that. Point number 2, you're investing in a company at a valuation that's relatively low, comparing to what will happen once we get the inflection point, which is not 10 years from now. It's, quarters and a year and a half from now, where the numbers of size of market and size of our revenue is going to go above $100 million.
Over $100 million. Over $100 million. And he said only in a year and a half. So this guy is really bullish on what they can do for the industry, and he can see that is the vision for him.
If you look at present companies' valuations, you will see that the valuation of our company at the inflection point will be closer to few $1 billion. Now the company is valuation at the price where it is today, give or take $600-700 million. So you're investing at a relatively low valuation.
So the next thing they spoke about was the long-term strategy. Which companies, who will they acquire?
Relatively large revenue base, which are serving the higher side of the PCB market, which was left in the United States and in Europe. As I have mentioned, 85% of it, mostly lower part of the market, moved to the East. These companies are serving the same customers we are serving, and they are basically developing high-end PCBs based on traditional technology. So we're looking to buy one or two like this in the United States and in Europe.
One or two companies they are looking to buy, not one or two companies.
Which will be serving us as the tool to access very large customer base in a traditional manner, and slowly we will populate that with our machines. Very, very attractive. The second kind of companies are companies that are much, much smaller, but are developing very advanced technology in 3D printing and additive manufacturing engineering for electronics. And those companies have technologies that we identified that can be integrated into our future machines. So instead of developing it ourselves, we potentially will buy one or two of them.
So when I say monopoly, let me explain myself. So under monopoly, only one firm exists in a particular industry. So there is one single seller who sells the unique product with no substitute and no competitors. Obviously, they've got loads of competitors that are going to try and come in. Some of the competitors are at least 2 years behind. But if they act like some of these other companies that literally come and Pac-Man and eat up the competition, they can actually create a monopoly of their own. So boom, one of the biggest monopolies here is Google. Google makes the majority of its money from advertising. It controls 60% of the global advertising revenue. Facebook, if you guys know the history of Facebook, Facebook bought WhatsApp, Facebook bought Instagram, but they also made lots of other little purchases where they've literally bought companies out, taken the staff, and left that company as an empty shell. So if Nano Dimensions can then buy the closest competitor to them, whoever's trying to catch up with them who is 2 years behind, they could be even further in front of the next competition that comes up. Get the product under them and manage to create another revenue stream.
And the third kind of companies, we're looking at companies that are supplying equipment for electronics to the same customers we supply what we supply, but that equipment is a bit different. It's testing equipment, very sophisticated optical equipment to control the processes. So it is equipment suppliers of advanced technology, but not the same like our machine. However, to exactly the same customers and production processes.
So if you guys remember, if you watched my previous video as well, here I was looking at what competitor I think they're going to buy. So you can check the video out here. I'm going to show you also. So there's Israeli companies that are also doing 3D printing, and they're getting some good revenue. They've got a good customer base already. And I was looking at the parent of this company. So this company is called ALOT. And the parent company you can see below here is called Nistek Golan. So when we go onto their website, you can see exactly what they're about. So Nistek is actually an Israeli company that are a leading provider of electronic manufacturing services for high-tech companies. So when you're talking about manufacturing and mass production, they'd be looking probably to acquire a big boy in the industry, and this is one of them. Remember he said optical, right? He said advanced in optical. So here you can see that during their testing, he said ones that are advanced in testing and optical, advanced AOI, automatic optical inspection.
Very sophisticated optical equipment to...
So I definitely think these are one of the companies on his radar. But then again, I could be wrong. He's talked to over 60 companies and he's been speaking actively to 35 to 40 companies to see who exactly he wants to acquire. So now they're going to talk about revenue sources. So how they're going to make so much money. They've got 4 different streams of income. And then they're going to talk about COVID revenues after. So what they're expecting.
Finally, I want to talk about your revenue sources. You have 4 revenue sources. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. The sources of revenue right now is, first of all, of course, we're selling the machines. which is the razor blade, and then we're selling the razors. The razors are the consumable, the inks that are being used in the machine in cartridges. One kind is the dielectric, the other kind is the conductive, based on silver at this point. We're selling them at consumables. So it's recurring revenue, second source of revenue, materials. Third source is we have an annual support agreement, technical support agreement with everybody that buys the machine. Other than the first year where there's a warranty, the next year is paying about 10% of the machine for service contract, which is a third source of revenue. And the last one, we started during the Corona, what we call nano services. Because of the Corona and the hold on capital expense and customers not being able to spend the money to buy the machine, we started to offer them services by using our own machine. We have 3 fabrication facilities in Hong Kong and in the United States and in Israel. And they're starting to pay us $5,000-$10,000 per developing prototype for them. And we're working now with dozens of customers. It's growing very nicely. And more important than being a source of revenue, the fourth one is it keeps us very close to customers. And as the Corona subsides, and we see it in the Far East, by the way, as we speak, those people who are using our services are now starting to buy machines.
All right, guys, and here he's going to talk about what he predicts the revenues are going to be after coronavirus. So exactly when coronavirus he estimates is going to end and when they can start making some real money and what the jump is going to be.
If you will assume that 6 or 2 to 3 quarters from now, COVID is down to 0, which means totally no effect. There's no tail. I would say that our revenue, which jumped 40% from into 2019 and was going to jump above that in 2020, will probably jump close to 100% in rate per quarter.
The last thing I want to cover is materials. So Nano Dimension has said that they can produce all of these high performance components, right? And in January, there's going to be a big influx of different materials that are going to be needed. There's going to be a huge demand and influx for a lot of electrical components. So I think Nano Dimensions is actually at the forefront of being able to mass produce and provide machines that are going to enable lots of different companies in different industries to thrive. So as you saw, we had that CNBC article stating that, $1.5 billion has already been allocated to electrical and hydrogen infrastructure in California. That's only one state. Imagine all the other states, and that's only one country. So now let's take a look. Look at this material here, silicon wafer. Do you want to know what that's used for? A solar wafer is a thin slice of crystalline silicon. It's the semiconductor in photovoltaics, PVs, to manufacture solar cells. So key point here is they're going to be creating silicon wafer, right? And Nano Dimensions is able to print and provide this. This is one of the largest manufacturers in the world. As you can see here, the largest solar panel manufacturer, Jinko Solar. And what do these guys use? They use silicon. And Jinko Solar's research and development teams of experts use silicon wafer. I don't know why my video face has gone over here, but here you can see silicon is by far the most used common semiconductor material used in solar cells. The United States solar energy market is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 17.3% during 2020 to 2025. So as you can see here on the left, these are the largest US solar panel manufacturers by capacity. You can see Tesla's up there, LG, Jinko Solar, Sun Energy California. All of these companies are going to be needing silicon wafer. So as the clean energy industry starts to boom, these guys are going to be at the forefront of it also. And I don't think I'm the only one bullish on Nano Dimensions. You can see it's up 14% here. This is just today, and just imagine what they'll be in the future. So this is only for entertainment, and this is only my opinion. I think this stock is going to boom all the way up to $30 when they manage to achieve what they're saying they're going to achieve. So guys, I put this all together for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please show some love to me by putting a thumbs up and clicking subscribe. Much love, Mr. Investalot. Over and out, baby.